I hadn't seen Malik in almost a year, not really. There were family dinners, short greetings, stiff hugs. But nothing like this, just the two of us, 4 hours out from the city, driving toward the family farm under a sky stretched taut with summer heat, asterisk. He was still the same older brother, taller, broader, still carrying himself like the world owed him nothing and he owed it nothing in return. I watched him drive, one hand on the wheel, the other resting carelessly out the window. Every few minutes he'd flick his eyes toward me, like he didn't know how to talk anymore, asterisk. We'll just fix the gate, check the water pump, he finally muttered. 3 days. Then we head back, asterisk. I nodded. Fine by me. Asterisk. I wasn't sure what I expected, nostalgia maybe, or awkward bonding over hammer and nails, but something about the trip already felt charged, the kind of silence that pressed against your ribs, asterisk. The house hadn't changed, sun-bleached wood. Creaking. Porch, a porch swing that still groaned like it carried old secrets. Inside it smelled like dust, hay, and something sweet Malik had baked once when we were kids, asterisk. That first night we worked until the sun bled into the hills. Fixed the fence, cleared the chicken coop, replaced a panel on the shed. Sweat clung to our backs like regret, but there was laughter too dry. Almost shy. Asterisk. At dinner, Malik made chili and poured 2 glasses of bourbon. We sat on the back steps, the bottle between us, and watched the fireflies stutter through the dark, asterisk. You ever think about moving back here? I asked. Asterisk. He shook his head. Too quiet. Makes you hear things you don't want to hear. Asterisk. I tilted my glass. Like what? Asterisk. He didn't answer. Just sipped, slow and thoughtful. The moonlight caught the sharp edge of his jaw, the faint scar above his eyebrow from when he fell out of the barn loft at 13. I remembered bandaging it. He'd let me silent and trusting. Asterisk. I'm not good at silence, I said. City's loud, that's easier. Asterisk. He looked at me for a moment too long. Yeah, loud hides things. Asterisk. The bourbon burned softer the second glass in. I felt my legs grow loose, my words too honest. Malik leaned back on his elbows, shirt sticking to his chest, muscles outlined in moonshadow, asterisk. Ever miss someone you never really had? I asked, immediately regretting the question, asterisk. Malik glanced at me. Something flickered in his expression, then vanished. Yeah, he said quietly. Once. Asterisk. We sat there a while longer. He told me about a guy he used to work with, Jason, or maybe Jordan, someone quiet, married. It didn't last. Malik said like it was just weather, asterisk. I swallowed. You never told me you'd been with a guy. Asterisk. You never asked? Asterisk. He stood, stretched, and yawned. You take the upstairs. Windows still jam, but they open if you push hard. Asterisk. I lay awake that night, staring at the cracked ceiling. Hearing the floor creak under Malik's footsteps somewhere below, I replayed every glance, every unfinished sentence. My skin was still warm from the sun, or maybe from something else, asterisk. At some point, I gave up trying to sleep. I stepped outside. The air smelled like pine and old grass. The lake shimmered in the distance, catching moonlight like broken glass. I froze. Malik stood at the water's edge, shirtless, barefoot, staring at the sky like it owed him an answer. His back moved gently with his breath broad, scarred. Strong, asterisk. I almost turned back, but something pulled me forward. Asterisk. Malik. Asterisk. He turned slow, as if I'd woken him from a dream. His eyes found mine and didn't blink. For a moment, neither of us spoke. The quiet wasn't empty, it was full, asterisk. He said nothing. Just looked, asterisk, and then, without moving, he whispered, You should go back inside. But I didn't. I stood there, not knowing what I was waiting for, not knowing why my hands had started to tremble, and Malik didn't tell me to stop, didn't go back inside. Asterisk. Malik didn't move when I stepped closer. The lake flickered behind him, silver and silent, and the night air had cooled just enough to lift the fine hairs on my arms. My feet crunched lightly on the dry grass, but he didn't flinch, just stood there, shirt draped over a nearby rock, the moon outlining every plane of his chest like it had been carved from the dusk. Asterisk. You couldn't sleep either? He asked, his voice low like it was meant for someone else. Asterisk. I shook my head. Too many thoughts. Asterisk, he chuckled once, not out of humor but habit. Same. Asterisk, we stood shoulder to shoulder now, eyes facing the lake. Our arms brushed faintly, and neither of us corrected it. I kept telling myself it didn't mean anything. That this was just one of those late-night conversations siblings had when the world got quiet enough, but nothing about it felt innocent. Malik sighed long and heavy. You remember when we were kids and we'd camp out here? Right by this water, asterisk. I do, I whispered. We pretended we were shipwrecked survivors, asterisk. Yeah, he smiled. You always said I'd get eaten first, sighed. I was too bossy, asterisk. You were. I laughed, but it caught in my throat, asterisk. He turned to me. He looked at me different back then. Asterisk, I met his eyes, confused but unable to look away. What do you mean? Asterisk, not like a brother. His voice was steady, but something behind it trembled. And I didn't mind. Asterisk, my stomach twisted. I tried to smile, dismiss it, make it harmless. You're drunk. Asterisk, I'm not, he said. I haven't been for years. Asterisk, the silence that followed was sharp-edged, dangerous. I could hear my pulse like footsteps in my ears. I should have walked away, I knew that. I could still feel the weight of right and wrong like opposing anchors. Asterisk, but Malik looked at me again. I didn't see my brother. I saw a man standing on the edge of something he'd buried too long. Asterisk, I thought I imagined it. I whispered, I hoped you did, he replied. I turned toward him slowly. The wind shifted. And still, he didn't look away. His hand brushed mine, deliberately, testing. Then, again, this time firmer. My breath hitched, and then he kissed me. Not hard, not rushed. It was gentle, unsure, almost reverent, like he was, asking a question and begging for no answer. I froze for a heartbeat, but didn't pull away. My eyes fluttered shut, and I let myself lean in 1 inch. Then 2, asterisk, it tasted like bourbon and heat and something I'd denied for years. My hand found his shoulder. His breath caught, asterisk, we broke apart too fast. Both of us stunned. Asterisk, Malik stepped back, eyes wide. I shouldn't have. I didn't stop you, I said quickly, too quickly. We stared at each other. Two grown men unraveling under the weight of something too heavy to name. Asterisk, then he kissed me again. Rougher this time. Desperate, asterisk, and this time I kissed him back. Asterisk, we collapsed into the grass, mouths pressed, hands clumsy, breaths tangled. My shirt peeled away. His fingers moved like he knew every inch of me already. There was no script, no guidance, only the sound of breath and wind and our names spoken in ways they were never meant to be, asterisk. It wasn't just lust. That would have been easier. It was belonging. It was a fire I didn't know I'd been freezing without, asterisk. After we lay there under the stars, our skin cooling against the damp earth, I reached for his hand. He didn't take it, asterisk. Instead, Malik sat up, pulling on his shirt like it could protect him from what we'd just done, asterisk. We can't do that again, he said without looking at me. The words stung sharper than I expected. So it was a mistake? I asked quietly. He didn't answer, only stood, walked back toward the house, and left me alone with the echo of everything we couldn't say out loud, asterisk. The sun rose heavy the next morning, like it had watched everything from behind the hills and now carried the shame for us. I found Malik in the barn, hammering a hinge onto the tool shed door like it had insulted him. Asterisk, he didn't look up. There's still the pump to check. Asterisk, I nodded, silent, waiting for something more, an apology, a conversation, even anger. But there was nothing. Just the dull rhythm of nails being driven into wood. Asterisk, we worked the entire day without speaking more than necessary. Every glance felt dangerous, every silence screamed. The memory of the night before clung to my skin like sweat, making it impossible to breathe normally. Asterisk, later, while sorting old parts in the shed, Malik's phone buzzed on the bench beside me. I glanced down at the screen before I could stop myself. Missed call, Jacob. I stared at the name, the heart, the intimacy of it. Asterisk, you're still with him? I asked, quietly. Asterisk, Malik looked up sharply, eyes flaring. Don't go through my phone. Asterisk, I didn't, it was right there. Asterisk, he wiped his hands on a rag, voice cold. Yeah, I'm still with him. Asterisk, I swallowed hard. Then what was last night? Asterisk, a mistake. His voice was flat, rehearsed. Asterisk, I laughed. Bitter. You don't get to kiss me like that and call it a mistake. Asterisk, he didn't answer. Just stared at the cracked concrete floor like it held the solution. Asterisk, does he know about us? There is no us, Malik snapped. I stepped back, stung. Then what am I, Malik? Just some unfinished curiosity you finally scratched out here, where no one could see. Asterisk, he looked up. His face was hard, but his eyes were soft, tired. Asterisk, no, he said. You were never that, but it still can't be anything. Asterisk, why? Asterisk, because I made a life with him. One I can't just unravel because you and I shared something we were never supposed to. Asterisk, my chest ached, each word carving out pieces. Of me I didn't know were fragile. You told me you felt it too, Asterisk. I did, he whispered. I still do. Asterisk, the silence between us thickened. It was full of everything we could never say again. That night, Jacob arrived. He was taller than I expected. Confident, warm, with a crook smile that made it worse somehow. He hugged Malik like he'd waited months for it, then turned to me and said, You must be Elias. Malik told me so much about you. Asterisk, I forced a smile. All lies, I'm sure. Asterisk, we had dinner together, all three of us. I sat across from them, watching Malik laugh too loud, pour wine too quickly, and avoid my eyes like they were knives. Asterisk, Jacob talked about work, a recent trip to Arizona, plans for the two of them to travel through Europe. Malik nodded along, smiling in all the right places, and I realized he wasn't just pretending, he was choosing. Asterisk, later that night, I stood on the porch with my bag packed. Asterisk, Malik came out alone, hands in his pockets. He looked at me like he wanted to say something, but didn't know how to start. I'm leaving in the morning, I said. He nodded. I figured. Asterisk, I looked out over the fields, still golden in the moonlight. You're really going to pretend that night didn't happen? Asterisk, he stepped closer, voice raw. I'll remember it. Every second of it, but I won't let it ruin my life or yours. Asterisk, I laughed once, low and tired. Too late for that. Asterisk, Malik reached out. For a moment, I thought he might pull me into one last embrace. Instead, he squeezed my shoulder hard, like it meant something. I wish I were braver, he said. So do I replied. Asterisk, as I turned to leave, I didn't look back. I couldn't. Asterisk, back home, I lay on my bed staring at the ceiling again. Same position, same silence. But something inside me had changed. Asterisk, I opened my phone. Found the picture of us taken 2 summers ago at a family barbecue. Malik's arm around my shoulder, both of us grinning. I stared at it for a long time. Then slowly I deleted it. Asterisk.